I'm Sarah. Today I'm going to tell a story, so don't forget to like and subscribe.
The courtroom smelled of lemon polish and despair. I'd arrived an hour early, claiming a spot on the hard wooden bench in the front row, directly behind the prosecution's table. I wanted a front row seat to the demolition of my family. The gallery filled slowly, strangers first, then the familiar faces. My Aunt Carol shot me a look of venomous hatred. My cousin Mark turned his back to me. Then the pièce de résistance, my mother and sister led in by their public defender. My mother looked smaller than I remembered, the woman who had strutted through my apartment, directing movers like a general, now shuffled in a wrinkled blouse. She scanned the room until she found me. For a moment, something flickered there. Hope, maybe. The unspoken plea of a mother to her daughter. Fix this. Make it go away. I held her gaze for exactly 3 seconds. Then I looked at my sister. Chloe was a disaster. Her usual polished veneer had cracked completely. When she saw me, her face crumpled into something between rage and despair. She mouthed 2 words. "How could you?" I smiled, a small, private curve of my lips that only she could see. The prosecution's case was a masterclass in surgical precision. The moving company employees testified. My building super confirmed my mother had a key. The company's security expert traced the digital trail to Chloe's IP address. Then came the star witness, Detective Miller. He took the stand in his rumpled suit. The prosecutor walked him through the investigation step by step until they reached the crucial moment. "And what did you find when you executed the search warrant on the defendant's residence, Detective?" Miller pulled out a tablet. "We recovered several high-value items of furniture that matched the victim's description and serial numbers. Additionally, we located a hidden camera system that had been tampered with." Tampered with how? The defendant, Chloe Morrison, had disabled the system's power source. However, forensic analysis of the memory card revealed recovered footage from immediately before the disruption. My heart stuttered. Recovered footage? That wasn't possible. I had edited that file myself. I had overwritten the original with surgical precision. Could you play that footage for the court, please? The courtroom lights dimmed. A large screen descended from the ceiling, and there it was. My apartment in crystal clear high definition. The timestamp read 2:17 p.m. My mother entered. She walked around, touching things. Then she approached my desk, reached underneath, and I stopped breathing. On the screen, my mother pulled out the power bank, but then, instead of pocketing it, she turned toward the camera hidden in the bookcase. She looked directly at it, and she smiled. "Hello, Elena. I know you're watching this later. I know you think you're so clever with your little cameras and your little plans, but I'm your mother. I changed your diapers. I taught you to walk. Did you really think I wouldn't notice the tiny lens in the book I gave you for your birthday?" The courtroom was utterly silent. I felt the blood drain from my face. On the screen, my mother approached the camera, her face filling the frame. "You've been recording everything for months. I've known since the first week, and I've been waiting for you to do something interesting." She paused, her smile widening into something predatory. "Imagine my delight when you started moving money around, when you bought that beautiful furniture with funds that don't technically exist, when you started planning your little revenge." She stepped back, gesturing to the room. "So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take this power bank, I'm going to disable your little spy system, and then I'm going to take this furniture, this evidence of your crime, and I'm going to give it to your sister. Because you need to learn a lesson, my darling daughter. You need to learn that you are not the smartest person in the room. You never were." The footage cut to black. The lights came up. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Every eye in the courtroom was on me, and my mother was standing, turned around in her chair, looking directly at me with the same smile she'd worn on the screen. "Your Honor," the prosecutor said slowly, "it appears we have a new line of inquiry." The next 48 hours were a blur. Interviews, lawyers, the slow, horrible realization that I had walked into a trap my mother had set months ago. The furniture, the embezzlement, the cameras, she knew about it all. She had waited, patient as a spider, for the perfect moment to spring her trap. The charges against Chloe and my mother were dropped. New charges were filed against me: embezzlement, obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence. The furniture, it turned out, had been meticulously documented by my mother's own hidden cameras I never found. She had footage of me receiving the wire transfers, of me celebrating alone in my apartment, of me editing the video files on my laptop. She had everything. I sat in a holding cell, staring at the concrete wall, trying to piece together how I had been so blind. My mother had played the long game. She had let me think I was winning, let me savor my revenge, because she knew that the higher I built my tower of lies, the harder I would fall. A guard appeared at the cell door. "Morrison, you have a visitor." I expected my lawyer. Instead, they led me to a small room with a plexiglass divider, and on the other side sat my mother. She looked exactly as she always had, perfectly coiffed, serene, in control. She picked up the phone on her side, and after a long moment, I picked up mine. "Hello, sweetheart. How's the accommodation?" I said nothing. I couldn't. My voice had abandoned me. "I want you to understand something. I didn't do this to hurt you. I did it to save you. You were spiraling, Elena, obsessed with your things, your money, your precious little life. You needed to be reminded that family comes first, that loyalty matters." "You framed me," I whispered. "I taught you a lesson." She smiled gently, the smile of a patient mother explaining something simple to a slow child. "You see, I knew about the embezzlement from the beginning. I've known a lot of things over the years. Did you think your father's life insurance policy paid out exactly when you needed tuition money? Did you think that internship fell into your lap by accident? I've been managing your life since the day you were born, Elena. Every success you've had, every opportunity that came your way, I arranged it. I pulled strings, called in favors, manipulated situations. Because that's what mothers do. We build invisible scaffolds around our children to keep them from falling." Her expression hardened just slightly. "But you forgot that. You started believing you did it all yourself. You started looking down on Chloe, on me, on everyone who wasn't as successful as you. You stopped coming to Sunday dinners. You stopped calling. You filled your beautiful apartment with beautiful things and forgot that none of it would exist without me." The tears were streaming down my face now, hot and shameful. "The furniture was never about the furniture. It was about reminding you where you come from, who you belong to. And when you tried to destroy your sister, when you tried to send her to prison, you forced my hand. I couldn't let you do that, Elena. I love Chloe too. I love you both, but you left me no choice." She set down the phone. Through the glass, I watched her rise, smooth her skirt, and walk toward the door. At the threshold, she paused and looked back at me. Her eyes were wet. "I'll visit on Sundays," though I couldn't hear her through the glass, but I could read her lips. "I'll always visit." The door closed behind her. I sat in the plastic chair, the dead phone still pressed to my ear, and understood for the first time in my 32 years that I had never been the protagonist of my own story. I had only ever been a character in hers. The trial comes in 3 months. My lawyer says I'm looking at 5 to 7 years minimum. Chloe has already filed a civil suit for emotional distress. My mother has offered to testify against me as a concerned parent who tried to intervene before things went too far. I sit in my holding cell, staring at the concrete wall, thinking about my beautiful apartment, my beautiful things, my beautiful plans. All gone now, all of it. But here's the thing they don't tell you about revenge. It's a dish best served cold, yes, but it's also a dish that requires a clear view of the table. You need to see all the players. You need to know who's watching. You need to understand that while you're plotting, someone else might be plotting too. I never saw my mother sitting across from me, watching my every move, waiting for me to take the first bite. She always does. She always will.